Are you interested in visiting New Zealand and earning 6 graduate credits? If so, this video will give you a taste of New Zealand. You will hear from 2 leadership education students who joined the New Zealand trip in 2016. We are also joined by Dr. Julie Ponto, who interviews Kaylee Martini, a graduate nursing student who also joined the 2016 trip. The Travel Study program is designed for students to experience leadership from the perspective of an innovative, small country that is surrounded by the Tasman Sea and Pacific Ocean. New Zealand does not share borders with any country, so they have discovered the need for sustainability. We will learn about New Zealand's culture, geography, politics, customs, and foods, and you will experience similarities and differences in your own discipline between the United States and New Zealand. We leave on February 25th and return on March 11th, 2018.
So one of the things that we did on this trip, besides the beautiful hikes, was we also got the opportunity to go to organizations. My background is in education, and so I was really interested in the opportunity to go to the Ministry of Education and Parliament. I didn't know a lot about the government over in New Zealand, and so this experience opened my eyes and got to kind of see an inside look. I think often we are so used to just doing things the way that we've always done them that it was really refreshing to hear a different perspective and also get some of those details about the inner workings of their processes. They were open, they were welcoming, and it was a great experience to get to hear those perspectives.
We'll spend 4 days in Auckland. During this time, we'll experience the Maori culture, North Island geography. We'll research similarities and differences in the students' discipline between the U.S. and New Zealand, and visit some surrounding areas. Next, we fly to Wellington. Wellington is the capital of New Zealand and is called the world's coolest little city by Vogue. Wellington is known for its vibrant art scene, world-class cafes, and restaurant culture, and the active outdoor lifestyle. We'll stay here for 6 days and visit the Te Papa Museum, Zealandia, Parliament, the Ministry of Education, and attend the New Zealand Festival of Arts, filled with outdoor music, art shows, and theater. In addition, students will visit organizations that are similar to their own discipline. What places do you recommend students to visit in Wellington?
In Wellington, some of the things that are must-dos are the museum. I believe you all will be spending a half a day at the museum, which is still probably not enough. There's beautiful cultural exhibits and tons of information on New Zealand, how it was formed, the treaties, and it's an amazing experience at the museum. Another must-do is hike to the lookout over the city in the morning. You will get a beautiful sunrise hike in, start your day off right, maybe take a cup of coffee with you, and get to see sunrise over the city as the city comes alive. And that was a pretty cool experience. And you will also be in New Zealand for the New Zealand Festival. And this festival there's tons of music, food, and cultural experiences at this festival, and you get a taste of the art scene that's happening in Wellington and New Zealand as a whole.
I didn't quite know what to expect as far as food in New Zealand, and one of the things that really surprised me was the variety and the diversity in the cuisine, especially in Wellington. There was all sorts of different restaurants and different types of food that you could try. I highly recommend going to the tasting room in Wellington. I had my first beef Wellington, which was delicious, and I highly recommend it. But there was just a variety of different types of food, different cuisines to try, really fresh seafood. We had lots of seafood on this trip, fresh fish, fresh oysters, all sorts of different seafood.
When we leave Wellington, we'll take a 3-hour ferry trip to the South Island. Yes, these pictures are actually the stunning beauty that you'll see when we're on the ferry. We'll first travel to Nelson, and then we'll be off to Tasman National Park, which will serve as our reflection site. Students will immerse themselves in the culture of New Zealand while participating in a 2-day hiking experience. The total hike is 11 miles, so we'll have plenty of time for off-the-path excursions. The hiking experience will provide opportunities to synthesize our learning during the trip.
One of my favorite things that we did on the trip was the times when we were able to be outside and actually experiencing New Zealand's beauty. That's probably the first thing that you notice is how breathtakingly beautiful it is. And one of my favorite hikes was at Tasman. And what was unique about that experience is not only just being outside and enjoying nature, but the fact that every couple steps was a completely different climate, it almost seemed. For the first part of the hike, I felt like I was in the desert. And the next part of the hike, I felt like I was in a rainforest. And just the drastic difference between all of the different areas and the bright orange color of the beach was something that was really shocking to me and just overwhelmingly beautiful.
Hiking in Tasman was a beautiful experience, but it's a great opportunity to sneak in some personal time and reflection for what has gone on for the entire trip.
And what do you think is unique also in regard to travel study that, when you can see how other people in the world do some of the same activities that we're doing here, but in such a different place with different resources? How was that? In what ways was that eye-opening, or what did you learn about that?
So it was really beneficial to kind of explore the different areas, especially in New Zealand, where parts of New Zealand are very populated and they have a lot of resources, and almost similar to the U.S. as far as hospitals and schools and education systems. Mm-hmm. And then as you explore the country further, you notice a lot more rural areas and a lot more limited resources available. But somehow they still manage to kind of achieve their goals and have good outcomes with healthcare, for instance, and seeing how the cultural norms are a little different there and how they make that work in a positive way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And maybe talk a little bit, we didn't mention this, but talk a little bit about why nurses or graduate nursing students might be interested in this kind of opportunity.
Sure. As a graduate nursing student myself, I thought that the trip was very rewarding, and it gave me a chance to explore some of the hospitals in New Zealand and how they function and kind of what roles the advanced practice nurses had within those hospitals and how they compared and contrasted to the roles here in the United States. And it was nice to see the differences, kind of their education differences. The structure of their roles was different, but it seemed like a lot of their responsibilities were quite similar to what we do here in the United States.
Okay.
I also felt that, visiting some of the schools, universities, we were able to see the education structure for their curriculum and what they go through to become advanced practice nurses, and then comparing that here again to what we do.
A little bit about what it's like to stay in a hostel.
Staying in a hostel is a very unique experience. You are with all different sorts of people, and you're all in a communal space. I was not used to cooking and sharing all the utensils with everyone around you. So at times it's a little overwhelming, but I also gained a really interesting perspective on New Zealand.
You got to interact with individuals from around the world and gain a broader perspective on not only how people view the United States and our education system, but also current events.
If you have any questions, please contact either Dr. Teresa Waterbury or Dr. Julie Pontel. Thank you.